I'm going to work on a continued fraction for 3 plus square root of 13. Now, square root of 13 is approximately equal to 3.6. And if you were given this as an exam, I would calculate it very simply by doing, well, square root of 13 is less than square root of 16, which is 4, and square root of 9, which is 3. And I would say, well, so this would have been square root of 9, square root of 16. So it's somewhere in the middle. And I would have started by squaring 3.5, getting some number, and then squaring 3.6, getting some number. And in this case, I would have been happy. It's like, okay, that's good enough. It's roughly what it is. That's how I would have done it. Then our A0 in here is going to be 6 because it's 3 plus 3.6 floored. So let's calculate our alpha 1. So it's going to be square root of 13 plus 3 minus 6, which is equal to square root of 13 minus 3. Then we conjugate this number. And get square root of 13 plus 3, and then 13 minus 9, which equals to 4. And I think I need to zoom in my template a little more, because otherwise I'm going to be running out of space real quickly. Yeah, let's do it that way. And I'll just write smaller. So our alpha 1, we said, was square root of 13 plus 3 divided by 4. And this is like 6 over 4, so the A1 is 1. Then our alpha 2 is going to be 1 over square root of 13 plus 3 over 4 minus 4 over 4. That's the 1, right? And that becomes 4 over square root of 13 minus 1. And that's our alpha 2. Then we're going to conjugate it. There's a 7, but it's really a 3. And I'm not going to, should I trigger my eraser and then go to black? There we go. That worked pretty well. But now I have to get back to my yellow, and I'm sure I'm not going to get the exact same yellow, but that's close enough. This equals to 4 times square root of 13 plus 1, and then 13 minus 1 equals 12. And so then my alpha sub 2 is equal to square root of 13 plus 1 divided by 3. And my A2, this is like 3.5, 4.5 is 1. A2 is 1. Okay, so then let's go and do alpha sub 3 equals to, what's alpha sub 2? It was plus 1 divided by 3. Is that right? Yeah. Minus, and then what was alpha A2? A2 was 1. Which is really 3 over 3. This is 3 over square root of 13 minus 2. Let's conjugate it. This is 3 times, I'm going to work this in so I don't have to use my eraser, And then this is 13 minus 4, which equals 9. And then this becomes square root of 13 plus 2 divided by 3. And that happens to be my alpha 3. Now my A3 is going to be 1, because this is like 3 point something. Yeah. So it doesn't make it quite to 6. When I floor it, I get a 1. So we have square root of 13 plus 2 over 3 is alpha sub 3. And we have not seen any repeats yet. And so we get 3, 4. Then we have, square root of 13 plus 3 over 4 plus 1 over 3 plus 2 over 3. So we haven't gotten any repeats. Let's do alpha sub 4. And never use a calculator to do these. Do it this way, because this way you get an exact value. Okay, so let's put in alpha sub 3, which is square root of 13 plus 2 over 3, and let's subtract A3, which we said it was 1, which is really 3 over 3. Yeah, okay. And then this is 3 over square root of 13 minus 1, conjugated. See what we get out here. So this is 3 times square root of 13 plus 1. 13 minus 1 equals 12. So alpha sub 4 is going to be square root of 13 plus 1 divided by 4. And our A4, this is like 3 plus 1, 4 over 4 is equal to 1. And we have a 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 3. Yeah, we haven't really gotten any repeats yet. Let's do alpha sub 5. Alpha sub 5 is 13 plus 1 over 4, and then our A4 was 1. Then the conjugate here is square root of 13 plus 3. Equals 2. 13 minus 9 equals 4. So this is going to be a large number. And this is alpha 5, and A5 is a whopping 6. Okay, so now let's calculate alpha sub 6. We said alpha sub 5 was pretty big. And then we said it was 6, the A3. So this is 1 over square root of 13 minus 3. And if we go back to alpha sub 1, 1 over square root of 13 minus 3 is alpha sub 1. So we have a repeat now. We've gotten to the point where we have our fully repeated fraction. And three plus square root of 13 is equal to 6. And then if we look at our A's, we hit 4 1s and we hit a 6. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do, well, first of all, I'm going to zoom out and just show what we calculated. There it is. So started with very big font, so I have to make it smaller. But we got a 6 for A0. Then we started doing the other ones, and we got a 1 for A1, then another 1 for A2, then another 1 for A3, then another 1 for A4, then another 1 for, and that was it. Yeah, so those were our 4 ones, and then we hit a 6, and then when we got to alpha sub 6, alpha sub 6 is equal to alpha sub 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is there is a way, it's a little trick, where you verify and you take it backwards. You're going to take this continued fraction and you're going to end up with 3 plus the square root of 13. And for that, I'm going to save this. Continued fraction, 3 plus square root 13. And then I'm going to do a new file for my template. Discard autosave. So now I have a new file, and I'm going to start with that fraction, and I'm going to get back. I'm going to start with a 6 repeated 1 business, and then I'm going to start. So this is how you do it. So you say 3 plus square root of 13 is equal to 6 alpha. Alpha is equal to 1, 1, 1, 1, 6. But it also equals, and let me make my font much smaller so I don't run out of space. So alpha is really 1, 1, 1, 1, 6 alpha, because it repeats. And then you calculate this. So this is really 1 plus 1 over 1 plus. There's 4 of them, right? And then there's a 6 plus 1 over alpha. Okay. And when you calculate this, see if my eraser works. It did. Okay. Because 6 plus 1 over alpha is going to give you 7, 6, I'm sorry. It's going to give you, oh, line of script there. Have to keep changing colors. This is really 6 alpha plus 1 over alpha right here. Then when you flip this, this becomes 1 plus alpha over 6 alpha plus 1. And now I'm just going to keep going over here. Okay, so this is 7 alpha plus 1 over 6 alpha plus 1. But I'm going in with this one. Plus 1. And then this is, and I had to flip this. So this is really 1 plus 6 alpha plus 1 over 7 alpha plus 1. Which becomes 13 alpha plus 2 over 7 alpha plus 1. Now I go back here and I do it again here, but I have to flip it because it's 1 over, right? So this becomes 1 plus 7 alpha plus 1 over 13 alpha plus 2. Right? Yeah. And then this becomes 20 alpha plus 3 over 13 alpha plus 2. And then that number, okay, gets added as a 1 over here to that. So I have to flip this again and add it to 1. And this is 33 alpha plus 5 over 20 alpha plus 3. And this equals alpha. And so then my quadratic equation becomes 20 alpha squared plus 3 alpha is equal to 33 alpha plus 5, which becomes 20 alpha squared minus 30 alpha minus 5. And I did a bad job there, so let's do the switcheroo in here. Wow, that was pretty quick. Okay, so then alpha is equal to 30 plus, and we never take the minus, 30 squared, which is 900, plus, because minus 4ac is minus 4 times minus 5 times 20, plus 400 over 40. You can take out a square root of 100 out of this, and this becomes alpha is equal to 3 plus, because then you divide through by 10. Okay, so now you go back. This is your alpha, right? 3 plus 2, square root of 13 over 4. You go back to your whole number, which was here. Okay, so you're going to do 6 plus 1 over alpha. 6 plus 1 over alpha, which equals 6 plus 1 over this whole thing that you just calculated, which is 3 plus square root of 13 over 4. Equals 6 plus 4 over equals 22 plus 6 square root of 13 over 3 plus square root of 13. And when you multiply through, and let's do it this way, when you multiply all this through, and here we have a little bit of space, you get negative 3 times 22 plus 6 times 13, and this is 78 minus 66, which equals 12. This is all 12. And then you get plus 22 square root of 13 minus 18 square root of 13, and this is 4 square root of 13, and then the denominator is 13 minus 9, which equals 4. And what is the final answer here? The final answer is 3 plus square root of 13. So you have verified, you started, okay, you started with your full number, which was the continued fraction that you calculated before, which was this, and then you've ended with this fraction. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Fraction, square root of 13. I'm going to call this number 2. And then we're going to start with, we're going to do the third part, which is we're going to calculate it a completely different way. And I'm slowly getting faster with this Krita software, K-R-I-T-A. And I think I'm going to try to find links to put in the videos that I've done with this software. I like it a lot better than the SmartDraw 4. SmartDraws? I forget what it's called. Yeah. All right. So now let's do it a different way. Let's start over. Okay. We're going to start over with, and we're going to write it this way. Okay. Plus square root of 13 over 1. The template that we're going to follow is capital P sub 0 plus square root of D over Q sub 0. So here we have that p sub 0, let me see how big my, okay, this is great. So p sub 0 is 3, q sub 0 is 1, right? And a sub 0, we already know, is 6 from before. So now what we do is we calculate alpha 1 as p1 plus square root of d over q1. And p1 now, in this new formulation, is a0, q0 minus p0, and q1 is equal to d, I'm sorry, d, yeah, it is d, minus p1 squared over q0. Okay, and this is going to give us the same numbers as we got before. So this is 6 times 1 minus our p0 was 3. So this is 3. So p1 is 3. And then q1, now we calculated from it, and we're doing, our d is 13. So this is 13 minus 9. q0 was 1. So this is equal to 4. So our alpha 1 is 3 plus square root of 13 over 4. And I'm not going to go and access the other file, but if you go back in the video, you will see that this is exactly what we found last time. And your A1 is 1. Okay. Now we're going to do alpha 2. Alpha 2 is capital P2 for square root of D over Q2, with P2 equals A1 Q1 minus P1, and Q2 is equal to D minus P sub 2 squared over Q1. Alright, so let's calculate these. We said A1 was 1, Q1 was 4, and P1 was 3, right? Q1 is 4 and P1 is 3, so this is 1. And this is 13 minus 1, and we know Q1 is 4, so this is 3. So what is our alpha 2? Alpha 2 is 1 plus square root of 13 over 3, and our A2, this is like 1 plus 3 over 3, floored, A2. Okay, so now let's go do alpha 3. When I use this method, I like to write it out this way because there are several steps and it's really easy to get mixed up. Okay, so I write out the function every single time. Every single time. I never miss writing it out explicitly, and then I fill it in. It helps me. Okay, so we said that A2 was 1, Q2 was 3, and P2 was 1, so this is 2, and then this is 13 minus 4 divided by Q2, which is 3, so that this is 3, right? So then we go back here and we write out alpha sub 3 is equal to 2 plus square root of 13 divided by 3, and our A3, 2 plus 5, plus 3, like 5 over 3, which is 4 is to 1. Okay, so now let's do alpha sub 4. Again, I just write it out. I don't leave it to chance. so that I don't get any one of these wrong, I'll just write it out. Q4 is D minus P4 squared over Q3. Okay, now let's go and fill these in from our previous values. Okay, A3 we said was 1, Q3 we said was 3, and P3 is 2. So this is 1. So P4 is 1. Then, now we put it in here, we square that, and then we divide it by Q3, which we know is 3. This is 4. Okay, so let's go back and fill out. This method can be fast, but I like to do it both ways. Similar as when I like to do Chinese remainder theorem problems, I like to do them 2 different ways in an exam. Okay, so then our A4 is 1, right? 1 plus 3 something, floored. Okay, so let's get alpha sub 5. Alpha sub 5 is P5 plus square root of D over Q5, and P5 is equal to A4 Q4 minus P4, and then Q5 is equal to D minus P5 squared over Q4. All right, so let's go fill these values in. A4 we said it was 1, Q4 was 4, and P4 was 1. So this is 3, right? Right. Then this is 13 minus 9, because we squared that P5, and the Q4 we said it was 4. So this is 1. Yeah. So we got that. So I think we have our alpha sub 5. Then I explicitly write it out as 3 plus square root of 13 divided by 1. A5 is 6, right? 3 plus 3 something? Yeah. All right, so now let's do alpha sub 6. Okay, alpha sub 6 is P6 plus square root of D over Q6. P6 is A5 Q5 minus P5, and then Q6 is D minus P6 squared over Q5. All right, let's go fill that in. Okay, so A5 was 6, Q5 was 1, P5 was 3. This is 3. And then this is 13 minus 9, which is going to be 4, divided by Q5, which is 1. So this is 4. So we have, did I do that too fast for you? There, see? Okay, so then now alpha 6 is equal to 3 plus the square root of 13 over 4. And that is equal to alpha 1, and we have our period. Okay, so if I zoom out a little, you'll see that 3 plus square root of 13 over 4 is alpha 1 right there. Okay, and if we read out our equation, our A0 was 6, and then if we start reading our A's, 1, 1, right, 1, 1, 1, and there's our 6, which is exactly what we obtained before for 3 plus square root of 13. So that's a second method to solve this problem, and I think we are done.